Hey guys, my name is Reagan Gallagher and I've been working with Adrian, and the topic for our research project was young adults and their texting behaviors. We were excited about this topic because we thought that it was applicable to our lives and the lives of a lot of people today. Most everybody has a cell phone, and the majority of people that have a cell phone text. And we really wanted to find out why people would choose texting over other forms of communication, like face-to-face communication or email or other mediated forms of communication like Facebook or Twitter. So our research question was, what factors are associated with young adults' choice to text rather than use other forms of communication? So we really wanted to know why and where and how people chose texting over just talking to someone in person. And our hypothesis was that young adults will prefer texting communication over face-to-face interactions when they're communicating with their friends and family for messages that aren't very emotionally complex. But then we thought for those more emotionally complex conversations, they would prefer face-to-face communications. We kind of looked at from the data that we collected in our focus groups, our surveys, and our interviews, whether people text to develop relationships, just exchange basic information, what do they like about texting, what do they hate about texting, and we knew that for this kind of research project, we would have to get a lot of data from people simply explaining to us their texting behaviors and under what circumstances they would prefer texting over face-to-face communication. Sure, we've all had those awkward moments where we would rather just text someone to avoid an awkward face-to-face conversation than actually just talk to them in person. So we wanted to hear stories like that, and we wanted to try to understand the circumstances that lead people to text. We collected a lot of surveys and interviews, and our focus groups as well provided us with a lot of data to kind of get a broad overview of why people choose texting. So I'll hand it over to Adrienne and she'll explain the rest.
Hey everyone, I'm Adrienne. So while Reagan talked to you more about the research questions and the process, I get to tell you about the results. So texting is best seen for conversations that aren't urgent. It came up that texting was used as a means to combat boredom or to avoid awkward social situations. As for our hypothesis, we figured that people weren't going to want to use texting for emotionally complex conversations that are more serious or that require people to be more present for the back and forth. But according to our surveys and our focus groups and our interviews, it seems that while face-to-face is still seen as the preferred method for these kinds of conversations, texting is still often used for it. One of the quotes that we got that really explained it well was, I use text messaging if I want an ongoing conversation with someone that I can do without using so much time. Like during school or something if I'm talking to my friend, but if I want to talk to someone and have a more intimate conversation, I set up a time to call them. And so that pretty much characterized a lot of what our research was saying. One of the other things we found is that while people use texting to maintain relationships, it seems that only people would talk about the relationships with people that don't live around them. It seemed like everyone talked about maintaining relationships with my family or with my friends that I don't see a lot, since we looked at younger people and college-age students who a lot of people are moving away from home and are separated from a lot of their friends or people that they used to hang out with all the time. As for future research, there was an article we looked at and it talked about the appropriateness of some situations when people choose to text. And so I think looking at that and figuring out why people text in situations that would at one point have been deemed inappropriate, why they still choose to text, and even if they think it's inappropriate now, could really hone in and figure out what kinds of things motivate people to text. But other than that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in class.